Alright, I think it's time I discuss the Borderlands 4 sort of teaser trailer. Now, if you don't know, Borderlands 4 just got their teaser trailer, uh, and it's been out for a couple weeks now, or I think a little over a week now. But, it's pretty much like just a bunch of theories, hints towards, Jack, some Iridian, text, which Iridians are just like the aliens of the universe. And it's pretty much a theory. It's all like theories and predictions, but a lot of people theorize Handsome Jack is returning, and a lot of people are theorizing this is a multiverse sort of game. So we're in a different timeline from the main franchise. When I first heard the rumors that it's a multiverse, I actually was really excited because I thought they fucked the universe of Borderlands. If you haven't kept up to date, pretty much in the Borderlands universe, almost nothing makes sense. Characters are really bland, and you're kind of. If we were to get a Borderlands 4 of a continuation, you'd be forced to like characters you don't want to like. And I just mean that because they're shit. Ava being a siren, no one gives a fuck. Uh, Lilith being gone, she was literally like the only good leader in Sanctuary other than Roland, and Roland was gone in the second game. So yeah, it's kinda rough right now for the Borderlands. Also a lot of the dialogue ended up being pretty cringy and pretty shit in Borderlands 3.
Everyone all right?
Aye, pero how did you phase lock the entire moon? Wow.
My personal opinion. Maybe there are some people who enjoyed it, but I personally thought that Borderlands 3's dialogue was some of the worst dialogue I've ever had to play through. And given the length of the game being like a 30-hour campaign, by the midway point, I kind of just wanted to blow my fucking brains out, to be honest with you. I'm not the most experienced in Borderlands 4. I haven't maxed out every character since level 50 was cap. I don't even know if it still is cap. I haven't played. I think I maxed out a Zane in my last playthrough, probably a few years ago. Haven't kept up to date with the game. I've heard some good things about some of the changes, but outside of that, I haven't really had any desire to play Borderlands 3 at all, even community patch or without, because it's just a fundamental game that I just can't stand. The combat I don't think is terrible, but the dialogue and the characters, man, they just ruin everything. Um, and another issue I have is I know a lot of people just want good combat in Borderlands 4. My issue is that I just don't think it's going to be as fun as people are thinking. Like, I know it's an Unreal Engine 5, oh my god, it's a modern era looter shooter, and there's not really many competition for looter shooters. I completely get that. I'm with you 100%, right? But I just don't think they're going to be able to really capture your attention for that long. Borderlands 3, I think, is probably the best way to upgrade from Borderlands 2's weapon system. But outside of just, like, guns doing random shit, there's not really much else you can really do to garner attention. I think most likely what's going to happen is that after a couple hours, probably I'd say in the 5 to 10 hour mark, most people are going to quit Borderlands 4. And I know we haven't seen trailers, we haven't seen gameplay, we haven't seen fucking anything, but this is just my early prediction, I guess. I think the gameplay is just going to be mid. I think it'll be from trailers, oh my god, wow, amazing, and then once you play it, it'll take you 5 to 10 hours to be like, yeah, this shit's kind of boring, I'm just pressing right trigger and then occasionally swapping barrels, or, reloading, and that's it, that's kind of all Borderlands is, and if you like that, hey, you like that, I'm not here to shit on you, but I'm just saying that I don't think, I think people are already having a little too high expectations for Borderlands 4, and that's saying something, because the Borderlands movie just came out, and that was dog shit. That was one of the worst films I've ever watched. I think it is the worst film I've ever watched. And I just think Borderlands 4 is now, for Borderlands fans, being propped up as, like, Oh, this is gonna save the franchise, guys. They have to save the franchise. It couldn't possibly be bad. We can't possibly have a game like Borderlands 3 on our hands and 4. But I just think Borderlands 4 is kind of gonna be a damper on everyone's parade whenever it decides to release. I believe the rumors are for next year. If not, I think it's the year after. Regardless. If you're concerned with the game being rushed because of this announcement after the Borderlands movie, I think most Borderlands fans were kind of hoping or kind of predicting that Borderlands 4 was going to be leaked somewhere in the movie or at the end of the movie in the after credit scene. It wasn't. But it gets announced like a few weeks later. So was it all part of the plan to announce or have an announcement trailer for Borderlands 4? Probably. I'm not too concerned if it's being rushed. And as far as like they're announcing it too early, I think everything's going to plan as far as Randy Pitchford's concerned. But I'm just predicting that the game's going to come out. It's barely going to be playable. A lot of crashes for no reason. It's going to be an always online game, of course. And yeah, I just think it's going to be dog shit. I think it will put the nail in the coffin for the Borderlands franchise. And of course, we've all seen Randy Pitchford's absolute elite level of copium on Twitter, where he's saying garbage like, yeah, you guys want to play our game instead of watch a movie with elite level actors? No, Randy. The movie's just shit, and your games are just terrible. No one really cares, to be honest. Even if you want to look at player counts, I have no problem bringing those numbers up. But my main problem is just, I think Borderlands has really lost its touch, and I'm predicting Borderlands 4 to keep that same energy, where it's just terrible humor. I think it's gonna be mid as fuck gameplay. I think the gameplay will be slightly better in some aspects than 3, and then slightly worse than some aspects in 3. But I do think that Borderlands has just like lost its whole theme and identity. You know, Tiny Tina's Wonderland, great example. Randy Pitchford's even coping, saying that it's got what's it called? Tiny Tina was actually a good game, and it performed better than they expected. The game performed like shit. It was terrible, you know. And even on the Steam charts here, we can see Borderlands 3 is just it's alive, but you know, on its last few legs. Has it popped off a little bit? Yeah, no doubt because of the movie and the fourth game hype, but it's just sad to see, you know. I grew up playing Borderlands mainly, you know. Before Destiny, I was pretty much a Borderlands Halo Reach guy, or a Halo 3 guy, you know. And it's just sad to see the state of Borderlands, you know. And I do really think that this game's gonna fumble on so many key aspects that will cause the game to die. I think if Handsome Jack comes back, I think they're just gonna fuck up his dialogue, and it's not gonna feel like Jack. If we're assuming this is a multiverse, I think they're really gonna miss the whole point of a multiverse. When you do a multiverse in something like Borderlands, I assume it's gonna be something akin to like a cataclysmic event, where it's kind of like a reset, you know? A lot of people probably play World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy. They kind of understand what I mean. The game eventually loses a lot of players. So what they do when the game's getting bad, they end up just throwing in like a whole reset, you know? Like a whole cataclysmic event. With World of Warcraft, it was Cataclysm. I believe. I don't really play World of Warcraft during that time, but that's what I'm assuming it is. And then for Final Fantasy, it was the whole reset when they did I think it's Final Fantasy Rebirth or whatever it was called. When they wanted to make Final Fantasy 14 better. So I think it's the right direction, but I think they still just have the wrong game plan, you know? And there's no evidence that they have even a decent on-track game plan, you know? And I'm not talking in terms of release dates and everything like that. I'm talking in terms of dialogue. I'm talking in terms of what the fans want. I'm talking in terms of characters, you know? I've yet to hear anything about the class systems being changed. I thought Tiny Tina's class system was okay, but fundamentally it was just not enough. And I think Borderlands 3's class system is the worst class system I've ever seen. Their whole idea behind the class system was that every class can do the same role, and they all feel like the same class. And hey, guess what? Then don't have classes because none of them matter, you know? And I understand the idea that it's like, oh, well, Zane's a cool operative, you know, and then you have Flak with creatures that you can use. True, but you'll come to realize when playing them, it's just the same thing, you know? With Zane, you have a turret that goes around, or you have a drone that goes around and kills everything. With Flak, you have a creature that goes around and kills everything. It's the same fucking thing, you know? With Zane, you have a decoy that takes aggro away. With Flak, you go invisible. That takes aggro away. It's the same fucking thing, you know? It's the same as me and my buddy were, you know, coming up with ideas for the 4th game. It's the same egg, just made a different way, you know? You have a scrambled egg, you have a boiled egg, but there's just nothing new about it. You know, it's still a fucking egg. And that's kind of what I'm predicting with Borderlands 4. Unless they completely go back to their old roots where some characters do struggle in certain areas, you know? And what I'm referring to is Borderlands 2. I believe Borderlands 2 actually does have one of the best class systems of all time, just because there are characters quite clearly for certain areas. Now, some characters aren't played as much as the others, but that's kind of the whole point. If you want a harder, more difficult experience where you're not going to be clearing the room in milliseconds unless you get certain weapons, you know, you would typically play Krieg for the harder, more difficult experience, or the Psycho in Borderlands 2. If you wanted to play something super neutral and super, you know, good at almost everything, in terms of a well-balanced sort of character, you play Axton. So you could have a turret, kind of diverts aggro, kind of does damage. You'd have some defense things to do with it. You'd be able to slag enemies with a tree, you know? If you want to stay away from combat most of the time and just pick off enemies, you'd probably go Zero. If you want to fucking support the team, you would go Maya. You have specific roles in Borderlands 2. I don't think Borderlands 4 is going to have it. I think Borderlands 4, unless they come out with, no, we want every character to feel different, I'm going to go under the mindset that every character is going to feel the same. You know? And I think that's fundamentally one of the biggest problems you can have in Borderlands, where every character feels the same. You know? A lot of games have that now, where class systems just don't mean shit. Destiny comes to mind. There's so many games now that have class systems that just don't mean anything. So it's like, why even have class systems? But regardless, I think the class systems will be terrible. I think the combat is going to be mediocre. Yeah, I think it'll be like just slightly better in some areas. Like maybe they'll make guns do some cooler things than Borderlands 3, but I think maybe a lot of the guns just won't feel as good as, you know, Borderlands 2 or Borderlands 3 weapons. So that's kind of my take on that. I think the story is going to be horrendous. And if you're trying to defend the game because it hasn't come out yet, and there's no leaks or anything yet, and it's just all theories, hey, fair play. I'd love to have your brain right now, but unfortunately, everything they've shown me has made basically dots on a graph, and as a wise Asmongold once said, when you have 2 points on a graph, 2 points make a line, you know? And it's just, we're trending down, you know? We're going downhill. But, anyways, I hope the game's good. I don't wish it bad. But, with everything I've seen from the Borderlands film, Borderlands 3's handle, Tiny Tina's handle, and everything, I have little faith that the game will be good. But yeah, that's just kind of my 2 cents, my opinion. If you want to believe in the game, you're welcome to. I'm not saying it's wrong to think that Borderlands 4 could be the savior of Borderlands, but what I am saying is that I think realistically we all know that this is just going to be the final nail in the coffin, and once it's out, people will play it for probably the first week or two, and then it'll die off. And I think the difference is that the old Borderlandses, they're meant to get all the juice from the squeeze that you want. Where this one is now going to be a live service, there's going to be a season pass, there's going to be battle passes, there's going to be fucking DLCs out the ass in 2 years, there's going to be cosmetic packs, like, we know this is going to happen. You know, it's going to be an average live service, hot garbage dumpster fire. But, I just want to thank you for watching, and if you made it this far, I hope you have a good day.